Final section, Chapter 4, Manku, supply and demand, and now we're going to bring the two curves together. Bring together demand, bring together supply. It's the middle of the x that we are most interested in, and that middle of the x is called equilibrium. It's a sense of balance between the forces of supply and the forces of demand. It is both the starting point and the ending point once we have moved the market around. And I'll talk about moving the market around and a bit on this section. Now, the equilibrium is assumed to always exist because there are forces in the market that will move the market towards equilibrium. Force number one, excess supply. As you can see there's a surplus. A surplus means, in our terminology, that there is more of the good available at the price than there is people willing to buy it. In this case, at $2.50, 10 people are willing to buy it, only 10 people are willing to sell it, and only 4 are willing to buy it. So with that surplus, what must happen? We think what must happen is a drop in the price. That is going to be a surplus. Now, excess demand, this is going to be a shortage. If there is too many people want the product at the price relative to those who want to sell it, now there's a shortage. What must happen to the price? The price must go up. And as it goes up, it's going to move and travel more towards equilibrium. So these two forces, shortages and surpluses, conspire to move the price towards an equilibrium. And we also call an equilibrium market clearing, so that the amount available to sell is going to match the amount available to buy. In this case, let's say the equilibrium is $2. $2 would be what we would call market clearing, and under the quantity would be 7. 7 willing to buy, 7 willing to sell. But we need to reach that point from either the shortage or the surplus. Okay, now we're going to bring everything together. And first we need to look at 3 steps to analyzing changes in equilibrium. So, given that there's going to be a change, given that there's going to be a shift in one of the curves, the first thing to realize is decide whether the event shifts supply or demand or both. In the real world, oftentimes both curves are shifted. In our little world, the way I'm going to teach it, we're going to shift either one curve or the other. Number 2, decide whether the curve shifts to the left or to the right. Is there an increase? Is there a decrease? Remember, increases are always a shift to the right, decreases always a shift to the left. Then, once that happens, you examine how the shift affects equilibrium, price, and quantity. Now let's look at the 4 we're going to look at the 4 basic cases and give examples. Here we go. Case number 1. We have an increase in demand. Hot weather increases the demand for ice cream. It's summertime now in Hawaii, and boy, the weather's hot. Boy, I want some ice cream. What is that going to do? It's going to increase my demand for the ice cream. Now, if you look a little bit deeper at this, at the original price $2, with the new demand, there's now a shortage. We got to resolve the shortage, so the price must go up. And as the price goes up, suppliers are willing to sell more of the good. In this case, 3 more relative to the initial 7. But what starts it all is the increase in demand based upon the hot weather. So this is the case number 1. We have an increase in demand. Demand shifts right. Case number 2. Decrease in demand. Demand shifts left. Now we have, let's draw the whole thing here. Okay, we have the initial equilibrium, D1. There we go, D1. and demand now drops. Cold weather decreases the demand for ice cream. Demand drops. And as a result, now there's going to be at the initial price a surplus. So price must go down to $2. As a result, there's too much ice cream out there. Got to sell it. Producers are going to respond by selling less next time around at the lower price. So we move from the initial equilibrium of $2.50 to the new equilibrium of $2. Let's do our third case here. Third case, decrease in supply. We have an earthquake reducing the supply of ice cream available. Now that's going to be supply. Supply is going to shift to the left. Now we have a shortage at the initial price. What must happen? Price must go up. But now this impacts the consumers, and as the price goes up, they're going to be buying less as a result. Lower quantities sold, 3 less sold to the consumers as a result of the decrease in supply. Final case. Let's draw the whole thing out here. There we go. We have an increase in supply. This could be more ice cream companies coming on board and making ice cream. And as a result, supply increases, results in, let's put the prices and the quantities here, that means there's going to be more of the good available at the given price at P1. So price must drop because consumers will only buy more and resolve the surplus if the price goes down. So we go from initial equilibrium, I guess I should call that A, which is that blue dot there at P1, Q1, to final equilibrium B. And that is the increase in supply. This finishes the 4 cases, and this also finishes Chapter 4 in Gregory Mann